Have you struggled to disconnect while on vacation? If so, this video is for you. I'm going to share 2 key steps that you can use to have a much better vacation while still being a responsible high achiever. Vacations matter, not just to the individual, but the organizations they work for. There's good evidence both in the lay literature, such as Forbes magazine, all the way to the scientific literature about the benefits to individuals as well as to the businesses that they work for. Not surprisingly, it helps a lot with employee happiness, but also life and job satisfaction. And that when vacations are done well, these extend well beyond the vacation itself. And this is a big deal. We're in 2023, at the current peak of employee engagement, according to the latest Gallup million-person survey. Yep, a whopping 23% of people are engaged at work. And you're right, your math is correct, 77% of people are not. And the chances of people who are not engaged doing high-performance work is really low. Vacation alone is not going to fix engagement, but as mentioned already, it's associated with significant improvements, not only in happiness and life satisfaction, but in job satisfaction and engagement as well. But most of you watching this are probably not in that camp. You're already a high achiever, probably a lot like me as well. You're always looking to improve the work you can do, which you find very meaningful already. I also suspect that in the summertime especially, you don't need more convincing that vacation is good for you. It's part of the win. It's one of the reasons why you're working so hard. And if you have a family, you know that vacation is going to happen. But not all vacations are created equal. There are a lot of reasons why vacations might not be great. We're not going to cover them all. But there are 2 things that you have a lot of control over. One is the message that you leave people with. Many people leave this message: I'm away, but we'll be checking email. This is an invitation to have your vacation time taken away. We know that in the modern work environment, people are spending up to 60% of their time just managing information and communicating and not doing actual work. So by saying this, you're giving away half of your vacation time. You've just opened the door to spending half of your vacation continuing to manage that information. Yeah, it's a little more relaxing by the beach, but it's a very different proposition to not have to check it at all. You will have a very different vacation experience. Many people sacrifice their vacation time because they know that they'll get stressed about all their emails accumulating, so they would rather have trickle torture than a huge pain on return. But it doesn't have to be this way. There are simple techniques you can use to allow yourself to be away responsibly and to have the ability on vacation until the last day of your vacation to be off, relaxing and recharging, and then still return to a manageable workload. And you can learn most of this from a simple story from one of the most stressful current jobs and how they went from doing it really badly to doing it really well. Unfortunately, in many professions, there's a tremendous epidemic of burnout. And this is definitely true in my field, in medicine. A local physician group was having a really difficult time with this. People were going on vacations, but they weren't signing out. And even when they signed out, we knew that they started checking in a number of days before they returned. They also dreaded coming back. Even when they checked in, they still had a huge amount of work to return to, which was a tremendous stress, which made the vacation much less enjoyable. They had to find a better way. They did 2 things which really helped. One was figured out a way to allow physicians to sign out work to others when they went on vacation. This meant that somebody was checking their messages and responding when they could. This greatly reduced the amount of work they returned to. The second thing they did was to make sure that they could spend as much of their vacation actually on vacation. And so they blocked off the first 1 or 2 work sessions for them to make sure that they had that time to catch up and respond to the messages which had accumulated while they're away. In general, this gave back physicians these 2 more days of vacation, which they would previously have spent checking on messages and trying to respond so that they could keep in the flow of work when they got back. So how might this translate into your work? Well, it really means there are 2 things you're going to need to do. One is preparing well to be away responsibly, and the second is preparation to return responsibly. So how can you be away responsibly? Well, there are 4 simple steps you can follow. One is you have to have an appropriate away message. This is a message that clearly indicates when you're away until. We'll talk later about some advanced skills related to the away message. There's some great generators online if you're not feeling confident in your ability to craft one that's professional and responsible. I particularly like the one by HubSpot, which is the out-of-office generator. There's a really fun one if you want, that's also available at Kayak. I'll be putting some example away messages that I've used on our website. Second, you should make sure that you establish clear communication channels. There are going to be at least 3 channels you should think about. One is the lowest priority. For those ones, you want to give a channel where you let them know that you're away and you ask them to reach out to you after you return. The second channel is going to be the one that's project related, in which you can delegate other people to handle some of the work while you're away. If this is related to project X, then please contact so-and-so. That way, people can still keep those projects moving forward while you're away. And third is going to be, how do you handle your very important people? People who are critical to your sense of success, and the ones whom you would take a phone call from, even on vacation, if they had a concern. For these people, you want to set up two modalities. One is a clear understanding that you're away, but that if it's an emergency, there's going to be a push method by which they can reach out to you. This doesn't mean that you have to put that in your away message. Putting your cell phone number there for everybody to see make those other communication channels less effective. Instead, you're going to use the next technique, which is proactive preparation for your very important people, to make sure they have the contact information that can reach you if necessary for emergencies. This step not only involves communicating how they should contact you in emergencies while you're on vacation, and clear understanding if, say, you're not going to have cell phone reception at some days, to make sure that they're aware of that. In those cases, I always hand off this to a delegate. But in this step, you also want to block off a little bit of time, at least 1 or 2 weeks before your vacation, to think through the projects that you have with each of your very important people, and think about what might come up that week and how would you address it. Then you can prepare a document that you send it to them beforehand, say, I've been thinking about this happens, this is what I would do. And then they will feel, one, like you've really thought about them, and two, that you're incredibly well prepared and organized. The fourth thing is making sure that you turn off your notifications. You want to use all the skills from Atomic Habits here. You want to make doing the right thing the easy thing. Turning off notifications on your phone, if you have an iPhone, is much easier using the new focus mode settings. They especially have a feature where in the new specific modes, you can change the background image of your home screen. And if you change that to a vacation-related image, it'll be very clear when that switches to a different focus mode and you can turn it back. The other thing that people surprisingly don't take advantage of is moving their communication apps off to the second page of their home screen while they're away. You'll find that this is just a very different experience. People are often using their phones to travel and help them navigate through vacation, and so moving the work-related communication areas and your email program to the second page will mean that you're not even seeing those little red bubble dots that will cause you some stress as you think about the number of messages that may be there. An advanced skill that I hinted at in the first step here was creating away messages that do work for you. One of those steps is the delegation step, where somebody who you would normally hand on a message to can have that automatically done even in your away message. I also mentioned this briefly in the beginning. Many people often say that they're away until such and such a time and they'll get back to them as soon as they return. That is one way to leave a message, but it's also sometimes appropriate to instead say that you're away until such and such time, and if this is an ongoing issue, please contact you with an update after you return. That can be an away message that does some work for you. So now you've been able to get away responsibly. You've been proactive about your thinking about your very important people and your very important projects. You've given them clear guidance and delegates to whom they could respond to. And in cases of an emergency, there is a push notification that they will use to try to contact you, such as a phone number that you will then step away and respond to. Now you can set your email, your Slack channels, everything aside and be on vacation. How then do you return responsibly? Well, like in the physician example, the key step here is a little bit of preparation, and that's the week or two beforehand, or ideally, as soon as you block off your vacation, you're going to block off enough time afterwards for you to be able to handle all the messages that you might receive and get up to speed on all the projects that you're going to start diving back into when you return. Most people underestimate the amount of time, as well as the value of this potential time, not just to you, but to the projects that you have. This is usually 2 days. Can you imagine how much you'll be able to get accomplished if you had 2 days after your vacation to get back up to speed on all of the projects that you're working on? Make sure that you could respond well and triage all of your messages. I bet most of us would be able to get back down to inbox 0. At a minimum, you should be blocking off that first morning. And then you should be adding a bunch of flex blocks to the afternoon and the following day, such that you're able to triage these things. You'll often find, especially if you do it far enough ahead, blocking off this time is possible and people will understand it. You'll still find that your bosses in particular are trying to squeeze in time there, but those can just be included as part of your getting back up to speed time, provided you've got enough time to prep for the meeting with the boss. And then it can be a great way to get synchronous updates on everything that's been happening since you've been away. There are tremendous benefits, both to you and the organization, in doing this return to work responsibly. Not only will you get all of the process efficiencies of taking all of the time that you would have spent looking at and thinking about responding and then responding to the individual emails and batching it into a single consolidated time. But you'll also be able to use many of the tools that you have to do this in a far more efficient way. As I've discussed in a previous video, one of the most effective ways to do this is to not sort your messages by date when you're doing this kind of processing, but sort it by from, where you'll see all of the conversations from an individual in a single view and be able to respond to them much more effectively. There are also tremendous benefits to your organization and to your project. If you have the time to return well, you're going to return as somebody who's incredibly knowledgeable about the project and cares deeply about its success, and in fact will help to move it forward. But now you're going to have the benefit of being able to return and give it a fresh perspective. It's worth taking the time to do that well. All right, but what if this doesn't work out well? What if you try to block the time, but then people just say there are all these kinds of semi-emergencies that they're going to eat away at this time? Well, doing this way still provides you with valuable signals about your team and your organization. Especially get some good signals. You and your team are not effectively sharing work, or you've not done enough to empower those around you. These are very valuable signals to team members and especially to the leaders. So what have we learned today? We've given you a simple, stepwise approach to have a much better vacation. These are going to be available to you as a toolkit on our website that you can download for free. If you need more help or more information, then feel free to join a cohort, reach out to us about your organization, or subscribe to our channel here or to our newsletter. Thanks. I hope this helps you to find flow and to help you have a much better vacation.